I have been discussing the role of a certain person called the Joker. The Joker being the one who has insight into the fact that all our social institutions are games.
The whole universe, all its forms, all the forms of biology, all the different species, the giraffe, the rhinoceroses, the baboons, the roses, the eucalyptus trees, etc., everything. It's a dancing thing going on, different styles. A waltz, a rumba, foxtrot, a frog, all are perfectly legitimate forms of dancing. So the universe does this. And we wouldn't want to say to any of those things, you shouldn't have them. Because they're all the great Maya, the great illusion, the great play.
The first rule being this game is serious, or this game is not a game. And therefore there is a tendency within society to resist very strongly any notion that what it is doing is not altogether serious.
Because if you take it too seriously, you're going to start destroying each other and fighting and saying this city against that city, this country against that country, so on. Because you're too involved. So every sane society allows a certain number of people to deviate. Monks, some sort of outsiders. It says you don't have to join, you don't have to play the game. A society which is insane and unsure of itself cannot allow that to happen. It says everybody must join, everybody must work, everybody must belong, and then freedom disappears. The anxiety is if you say, well, you don't have to join, there are conditions under which you can go out, then a lot of people get together and say, well, what would happen if everybody quit? I ask, what would happen if everybody decided to take American Airlines Flight 3 to New York tomorrow? Well, they just wouldn't get on. I mean, and they won't anyhow, because a lot of people aren't interested in that, are not ready to quit. When a society allows a certain number of people to withdraw, it should have no anxiety that everybody will want to withdraw. Because some people are absolutely fascinated in competition, in being involved, in playing the game. They should be. It's fine for them. And there have to be people who stand outside the game and do not identify themselves with a class, with a name, with an ego, with a persona, with a role.
So, to play the game and to know it's a game can be quite fascinating, and not really giving the show away, but giving it away enough somehow. And that, you see, is the Joker's function. What he is doing then is he is in a point of view where he sees all that is going on as a game. He doesn't take anything seriously. But don't forget that that doesn't mean that he is simply shallow and frivolous. The thing that we have to understand, really, is that all the roles are the Joker playing them. And the Joker is looking at you out of all pairs of eyes. There he is. Only he's pretending very often that he's not the Joker at all. Oh no, it's just me. I'm not the Joker. Where is the Joker? Now, once one has seen the nature of the game, you realize that it matters superficially which of these two things happens, but it doesn't fundamentally matter, because all negative things pair with positives. There is no positive without negative, and there is no negative without positive. I heard a very amusing story which kind of goes with these rugs. The question is a zebra a yellow horse with black stripes or a black horse with yellow stripes? The answer is it is an invisible horse which has been striped yellow and black so that people won't bump into it. In a similar way, reality is an invisible state of affairs, beyond all description and thought, but it has been striped black and white, so as to be seen. And this is life and death, up and down, sound and silence, the whole vibratory character of being. And the game, the fundamental game that the universe is playing, is to forget that this is so. You see, what you might say in theological language, the invisibility of God is his self-forgetfulness. And the visibility of the world is the game being played. The universe in its grand design has nothing special to do with morality, or rather no more special connection with morality than with anything else. Morality is a part of the universe. It's a way of playing the human game. It's always still up to you how you want to behave. One can only be moral because you like to do it that way. There really is no other reason whatsoever. And to try and find other reasons always perverts morality. In just the same way, the powers of the universe, the power of fire, the power of electricity, the power of steel, they are neither good nor evil. You can use either one for the blessing of people or for their destruction. And so the truth itself, I mean, the foundation reality of the world is something like that. Although it does have this certain edge to it, and so does all human activity. And the edge is something like this. Those powers that we call positive are always in a process of overcoming those that we call negative. It's the nature of the positive to win and the nature of the negative to lose. But win and lose always go together. Nobody wins unless somebody loses. Nobody loses unless somebody wins. Their relationship is transactional in the same way as buying and selling. But if it were the other way round, you see, if the negative were always in the situation of overcoming the positive, you would get a universe that would not be a continuing game. It would be 100% tragedy.
Let him who would move the world first move himself. Socrates. What is essentially being said here is that before we can work on creating a better world, each of us must start with changing ourselves. For you see, the world can never truly begin to change until each of us begins to change ourselves through our thoughts, acts, and behaviours. For how can we create a more loving world if we ourselves are performing unloving acts towards others? How can we bring about a more compassionate world if we cannot even show it for those around us? How can we bring about a world of more trust if we continue to lie ourselves? How can we begin to reduce violence in the world if we continue to show anger and hatred, the very source of violence, to those around us? And how can we bring about a world of forgiveness if we cannot even forgive ourselves or hold grudges to those who have wronged us? You see, most of us live very hypocritical lives. We speak about how there needs to be more love and kindness in the world, yet we go home and act unkindly to our own family or friends. We speak about how terrible it is that such senseless acts of violence are occurring in the world, yet sit at home to watch TV shows and movies that glorify killing and violence and call it entertainment. We speak about how wrong it is that the oceans and the world are becoming contaminated and polluted. Yet most of us do nothing to reduce our daily wastage. And we speak about how sad it is that poverty and starvation exists. Yet we continue to waste our food every day. These are just some of the things that each of us performs on a daily basis. And I'm sure that all of us can relate to at least one of these things. And this is not to say that we're necessarily bad people for doing these things. No one is perfect. Each of us are human. But we can each do our part in the creating of a better world. And this starts with changing ourselves. Have you ever noticed how so many protests never change anything? This is because people go into them unchanged. Sure, they may be very knowledgeable and passionate about what they are protesting, but they do it with anger and hatred for those who have wronged them. They preach peace yet scream with immense anger and hatred, the very energy they are trying to rid. This is not to say that protesting is not effective, for some of the greatest changes in history have come about through protests. The difference, however, is that these protests were not done in anger or hatred. Instead, their underlying principle was love. As Martin Luther King once said, non-violence means avoiding not only external physical violence, but also internal violence of the spirit. You not only refuse to shoot a man, but you refuse to hate him. Or as Gandhi put it, hate the sin, love the sinner. In other words, resist the wrongful acts of another, but do not do it with anger or hatred in your heart. To quote Martin Luther King again, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. So if you want more kindness in this world, then be kind to those around you, or help someone in need. If you want more love in the world, then show unconditional love to your family, friends, and all those you meet, and forgive those who have wronged you. If you want more happiness in the world, then smile and be friendly to everyone you meet, and those you pass on the street. If you want more compassion in the world, then show compassion to those around you, even those who have previously wronged you. If we want peace in this world, then each of us must do our best to live it each and every day. Complaints and longings for how the world should be achieves nothing. It is only through action that the world has ever changed. So instead of complaining and longing for a better world, take the first step and change yourself. And instantly, a better world will begin to be forged.